Sono solo sogno all'orizzonte la grande parole. Sì, lo so che non c'è luce in una stanza quando manca il sole. Se non ci sei tu con me.
Sarah Brightman é uma artista completa com uma carreira bem interessante. Hoje ela é uma soprano de voz cristalina que vende 8 milhões de discos. Ontem, na década de 80, ela era a estrela dos musicais da Broadway. E anteontem, na década de 70, ela fazia parte de uma banda bem pop. Dessas que tem meninas bonitinhas que dançam muito bem. Vamos conhecer melhor essa camaleoa, Sarah Brightman. Famous for doing this mixture of classical and popular music, but you've been getting better and finding your own style. How would you define your style now? You are more classical, more pop. Which way are you going more?
Music to me has different styles. It's written at different times, but I never like to divide it into saying this is pop, this is classical. Music for me is whole, and so I actually find it difficult to define what it is that I do. I think probably when I was brought up in the 60s, and of course at that time music was being experimented with, although there was a huge sort of revolution there, and I think that people were mixing all sorts of styles because suddenly they were allowed to. It was the thing to do and they were allowed to experiment. So for me, having been brought up in this way, I don't think, okay, I mix a piece of pop music with classical and do this and that. It's very organic for me to do whatever it is I'm doing. And if people want to sort of put that into drawers and describe what it is exactly, it's fine, but I actually find that difficult.
But which is the style that you are looking forward more now, that you are searching and researching more now?
I think I'm very open about music, all the new things that are coming in. Obviously a lot of the new comes from the old. So alongside the sort of the traditional training that I've always had since I was young, and if you want to call it the classical training, I'm always taking in what's coming in which is new. So I cannot actually tell you, because everything is very mixed, the exact route that I take. I'm inspired all the time by many things around me. I like art, I like nature, I like people. I'm just interested in what happens in the world generally, although I'm not particularly knowledgeable about it, and I take in everything. And sometimes I may base a piece of music that I want to do, or an idea that comes just on a colour, for example. That's how it may start, and that colour will bring an emotion, which therefore will bring music into my brain and an idea. So it can be many things, there's no particular pattern.
I read that you belonged to, in the beginning, to a pop group that was called hot gossip.
Yes, I did, and a very provocative one it was too. Well, I'd been training as a classical ballet dancer, and I was 17 years of age. I'd just come out of school and out of my training, and I was, I suppose, headhunted by these people who were working in television that had put together this dance group called Hot Gossip, and the girls they wanted, they had to be sort of very petite, sort of attractive, but they also had to have a very amazing ballet training as well, which I had just had, because the actual choreography we were doing was very complicated and complex. But at the same time as doing that, we had a very innovative director who started all the fast editing and fast cutting of television. So everything you see today actually does come from this particular time.
I was just thinking of Spice Girls and all
That's
those.
right. We did it before a long time ago.
When was that?
That must have been about 1978, 9, something like that. Yeah, the sort of, I don't know, it was the glamour disco era, and then punk came in after that. So I was sort of thrown into, but they made this dance group very kind of provocative in the clothes that it wore and the attitude that we had. So that, and out of that group I had my first hit record, which was called I Lost My Heart to Starship Trooper, and it was pop trash at that time, and it was great fun.
But what were the profits from this experience that you still have now in your career?
That you have to pay your tax, because I didn't know what tax was at that time, and I was earning a lot of money, and I blew it all on cars and things you do when you're a teenager and a baby pop star, and the taxman came along and said, I want some money, and I didn't have any left. So that's what I learned from this experience, and that's probably all that I learned.
Had a great experience in theater.
Yes.
Doing the Phantom of the Opera and Cats. Your character in Cats was very important for the beginning of your career in the theater.
It was sort of in a way by default that I ended up in theatre. I needed to go, after having a sort of a very quick pop career as a teenager, I knew I had to get back to some sort of solidity, sort of something that was solid and that I understood about. And because I'd trained in that area, I decided to go for the audition for Cats and got it. And then that was the beginning of my theatre career. I think the roles that I played, I mean, Christine, for example, in Phantom of the Opera, it was obviously a sort of inspiration, in fact, to the composer Andrew Lloyd Webber. I inspired him for some reason at that time. So he wrote the pieces in the role for me. And the part that I played in Cats, which had been earlier on, was in fact a part for a dancer. But because he realised what kind of a voice I had, it inspired him to write certain pieces in Cats that happened. So it's a nice knowledge to know that you're inspirational to something that's sort of gone on and probably will for many, many years.
was Germany in your life when you decided to put some things behind and have a new start. And you were very brave for this, right? Because you had a solid career in some
areas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you decided to start over. Why and what did you decide to leave behind and research and search again?
I think that because I'd had an 8-year sort of career in Lloyd Webber musicals, had been his wife, had been his muse, etc., etc. I think in my own country, because there was so much publicity surrounding us at that time, and we were very famous, and when we burped, it probably was in the news. I mean, we could not move. I think in a way I was very, how can I say, as a personality I was burnt out there. I couldn't move anymore in my own country as an artist. I couldn't be creative in another way. No one would let me because they always remembered me for those things. So therefore I had to get out. I had to move to another country. I had to start again with a new career. I thought, well, I've always wanted to work more on the classical music side, on my voice. I have time to actually work on this. I then took myself off to Germany and to Italy and worked with coaches there on new repertoire that I hadn't had a chance to work on before because I'd always been in the theatre. And it was difficult to do because, of course, there were offers coming in from all over the world for me to be in musicals in Australia, Japan, wherever, and I turned everything down. But what I did was a good thing because not only did I have time to work with my voice and to find out the possibilities and where it could go, but I also started working with my producer Frank Peterson, who had sort of projects such as Enigma and had been very successful as a producer in his own right. We started working together in the studio on all sorts of different types of music, and we were experimenting, and we had time to do all of this. And so all of these things came together with what I was working on, what he was working on, to actually provide me with the career that I have now.
Do you live now?
Difficult to answer that question because I have a family. My family live in Spain. I have a home in Italy and in England, and also in Miami. And I have an apartment in London because obviously my roots are there. So, and a boyfriend in Germany. So I'm doing this all the time. Yeah.
And you also travel a lot. Like the last 4 years were very intense for you.
Yes.
Do you get along well with this idea of being like a gypsy, always traveling? Do you like this? Or, you know, when you are on vacation, you don't want to travel at all. You just want to stay at home and, you know, open your drawers and look at your furniture and relax?
When I get back to what I would call home for that particular moment, I like it for a week. And then after a week I think, oh, where's the suitcase? Let me start moving. So I think I have to have gypsy blood in me because I need to be on the move. I like to do things. I like to come to places like this and see all this gorgeous forest and this place. I mean, there's so much to see and so much to do that I think I'd be bored just staying in one place.
Ceiling
some successes that stayed like for 100 weeks in the top of the Billboard Classics. And you were saying that some part of your life you were very afraid of this media chasing you. How do you deal with this now?
To tell you the truth, I don't really think about it too much. As a sort of normal person walking in the street, I tend to look like anybody. I have no makeup on. I travel on tubes, on taxis. I think that I'm at a place in my career where I have a certain amount of respect because I've been doing it for so long now and stayed for so long. So therefore, I don't generally get the feeling of, how can I say, non-respect in any way. So actually, sort of, there is none of that sort of like teeny star thing, kind of fame that I have because I'm an older person. So it
but
doesn't.
You're so young.
No, but I'm not.
But you
Britney's
started
age.
so young.
Yes, and I think probably having many years of being married to somebody who was very, very famous in America and in Europe and where we were, I kind of got used to that media thing, and I don't really think about it anymore. I just try and be natural and myself, and it seems to work for me. Yeah.
And having this gypsy life, how do you deal with, the cares you have to take for health and beauty? Are you very fashion and beauty slave or no?
I don't think I'm actually quite lazy in that area, I have to say. I hate working out, although I do run every day. And obviously you have people that help you with your hair and your makeup. I mean, you have to have that. But I probably do all the wrong things for my health. I'll have a drink in the evening and I might eat too late. But this is life. You have to enjoy it. You can't just box yourself up because otherwise you go mad. So I just live.
A funny thing was that I was talking to a guy downstairs here, where we are, in Parque Lage, na zona sul do Rio de Janeiro, and he was saying, "Is she Sarah Brightman?" I said, "Yes." He was like, "But what did she do with the color of her skin?" Well, because we have this image of you in the clips,
yes,
so ethereal, so
pale.
And pale. Why did you decide to do this, turn?
Well, I actually, my mother is of, half of her is of East Indian descent, so actually my skin is actually quite dark. But what happened was in the, I would say the early 80s, I actually had an allergy to the sun for a while and to a lot of light. If I'd go in the light, my skin would come up. So I kept out of the sun for a long time, for many years, and I became really pale. And when I was made up, it was always very pale makeup and pale makeup on the body and everything. So I think that was why I looked like that. But actually, now I'm older and I don't have an allergy anymore. I lie out in the sun and I catch it immediately, and my skin gets brown, and that's what happens.
I was feeling kind of seasick.
saying Time to Say Goodbye with Andrea Botticelli. Try to do another music with a man partner again? Do you have plans to do it again?
I hope not. They're naughty, these male tenors. Probably, I'm sure. I mean, I just came from a concert in Japan and at the Bolshoi in Moscow came from there to here with Jose Carreras. I work continually with tenors in concerts and whatever all over the world. I think because I have done so many duets, it's not something I sort of particularly want to pursue for the moment. I want to leave it for a little while. I think that from time to time there will be, but it's not something I want to become known for doing particularly.
What's going to be the next Sarah Brightman?
It is completely different. I'm already started the sort of preparatory work for it. It doesn't really bring in, how can I say, it doesn't choose any well-known classical pieces or songs that anyone would have known, but it will draw from all sorts of different types of music. I don't want to say too much about it yet because we've obviously only started and many things may change.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.